So today we're going to try the Be Safe for anxiety. And could you tell me what we should work with? What kind of anxiety do you
Hmm.
experience? Can you give an example of a situation or something?
Um, you tell me if it's too focused. I mean, but I want to write a book. Like I really enjoy writing, and I have things to say. I feel very divided there because I have um I like my writing style, and I when I reread it, I like it. But when I want to write, then I'm judging myself heavily, and in the end, it's also that I'm not doing it. I'm not writing something that could become a text in a book. And yeah.
And when you are writing something, do you experience anxiety when you're writing or when you're reading it?
When I'm writing it, and it's so strong, yeah, that it takes the form of judgments, but it's just impeaching any access to um, the flow of creativity.
Hmm. So is it only anxiety in your thoughts, or are you experiencing something in the body as well?
Mm, um, I definitely didn't focus on any body sensation when it happened, but I'm trying now to put myself in this situation, and it's so strong that I really tend to avoid it. I would stop what I'm doing. So it's more in the belly, quite contracted, and mm, uh, yeah, tension, and also less capacity for breathing.
Hmm. So you're trying to access it now, is that correct?
Yeah.
Can you feel just a bit of that right now? You're thinking about writing
Mm,
something.
yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. So
I'm
what do you
connected.
experience right now?
But I told you, and these there is a stronger feeling in this part of the body, and um, almost like that I would like to cry. Like I'm not like these first signs of emotion, quite hard to grab. Uh, mm. Yeah, I cannot really be more precise, but I find it's the lack of space here.
The chest.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, okay. And right now you're thinking about writing, is that correct? Are you
Yeah.
experiencing that as images?
No.
I,
Uh, I mean,
or
it's like I'm thinking about it, but then I'm very much more. So I will close my eyes and
great idea.
try to, yeah. So it's first I picture myself in the situation, but then when I was focusing on my body sensations, I didn't have pictures of the situation anymore. Um, I think I was probably representing my body, something like that. If I have to.
You were represent.
Yeah, like I was seeing myself.
Yeah, okay. It's writing, seeing yourself writing, or
yeah, but then when I looked, when I wanted really to be precise on how I feel, it was, I cannot say if there was images or, but now, yes, I'm seeing myself, like the last time I tried to write, and yeah.
You're probably sitting at a computer, I guess.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And you're writing your text, and you can perhaps read what you're writing and imagine formulating your sentences and writing down.
Yeah, the problem is more that I am not writing when I mean, there is a computer and the intention to write, but then it's very much blocked in my head.
Yeah, so you're thinking about writing.
Yeah, or I'm thinking, I'm judging myself when I
what
do
kind
that.
of thoughts
So,
are you appearing when you're in this situation? What kind of thoughts?
It's not interesting. You're making circles there with and you're not reaching any important topic. Something around what's the point of writing when you actually don't know what you want to write about. That doesn't make sense.
And which sentence is making your body react the most?
You don't know what, it doesn't make sense to write when you don't know what to write about.
Doesn't make sense to write when you don't know.
Yeah. The body reacts, it's really mind that I want to counter what I just said. It makes my mind very active. So it's an exercise to go to the body to experience. But yeah.
So the sentence, if I was hearing you correctly, it doesn't make sense to write when you don't know what to write about?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, yes.
And when you're experiencing that sentence in your head,
yeah,
you can feel something in your body reacting. Is that correct?
Yeah. I can feel more my head countering that and saying it's not true, da da da. But
yeah, so you're working with contra arguments and discussing with yourself as well.
Yes.
So,
and then I feel very trapped there. So going into my body, I feel quite disconnected with my body in this situation.
When you are experiencing this, when you're writing or sitting at the computer with the intention to write, you are experiencing an anxiety that's so intense that you really don't want to have it. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now, how intense is that? Just when you're imagining it with me, on a scale from 0 to 10, 10 is the most.
7, 8.
Okay,
yeah.
7. Okay, you may open your eyes now. So thank you very much for going into those thoughts. And it's great to experience that you have, although you're saying you feel a bit disconnected, but you can still feel something happening right now. to the on a 7 on this 10 scale. So that's quite an accomplishment. Let's think about what anxiety is. It's a feeling of fear that makes sense out in nature, because fear is a feeling that's making us flee from a threat somehow. If animals are in danger in nature, they will experience this feeling of fear and then get out of there. It makes completely sense to keep surviving out in a dangerous nature. We're not in our society in that kind of danger normally, but we have a lot of thinking going on in contrast to the animals. And that's why we can experience fear and anxiety. Anxiety is not fear of an imminent threat, but a threat that's somehow in the future or imagined. That's a great way to think about what anxiety is, because then we can change it. If we were going to change your experience of fearing, for instance, being pushed into a building that was on fire, that would be very stupid to do, because the fear would save your life if you had that. And anxiety is, you can think of it as the brain's misunderstanding of some situation. For in your case, it's misunderstanding the situation you are writing, sitting at your computer, and the whole bulk of thoughts and the situation that you experience, which is both the physical sensation of sitting at the desk and your thinking. That whole bulk of experience is too much for your system. So that makes sense in a sense that your body is reacting to that whole experience. So if we could take that experience apart in smaller bits, just one bit there, one bit there, perhaps we could, with you and I, train your brain to experience this as okay. This little bit as okay. And then when we assemble the whole puzzle, perhaps your brain is okay with the whole bulk of experiences. So that's the basic method of thinking about this. It's based on mindfulness. Mindfulness is what you're doing to see through the illusion of our thinking. So that's the whole idea behind this Be Safe protocol that we're trying to. So we're trying to break it down. We're trying to separate all those pieces. We're trying to get your brain to accept each part. And when we're doing this protocol, I will ask you to focus on each part without doing anything.
Okay.
And then we'll evaluate what's going on. And that is Be Safe.
Okay.
So I need you to reconnect in a while into this situation with all of the thinking going on, with your great vivid imagination of the situation and your thinking and your feelings. So try to make this as live as you can, but you already did it, so that was great. I think you can do it again. Then my role here is to guide you through and take you through a small process of feeling and experiencing. And our common goal is to train your brain, sort of a mental training, like a mental workout. And then it's not about getting used to the sensation. It's about seeing through the illusion.
Okay.
And seeing that this is a thought. Okay?
Okay.
So you have to work with me and be as honest with the thoughts coming through you as possible. I was asking before about images. So some of our thinking are images. You can see yourself, as you were talking about, see yourself from the outside or see through your eyes. And sometimes we have a lot of thinking going on in words. So that could be hearing some kind of conversation you already had or going to have. It could also just be your own thoughts, that you're thinking something, saying something to yourself. Do you know that feeling?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I have a brain like yours. A lot of words coming up, a lot of pictures in my case as well. And then we're just trying to I will ask you repeatedly, how does that image or those words make you feel?
Okay.
So you may close your eyes and get comfortable. And then re-enter the situation. So you are sitting at the desk with the computer and with the intention to write. And those thoughts are coming up. And while you're experiencing this situation and your thoughts, I would like you to also register what's happening in your body. And if you can sort of go into this situation, I can name a few of the things we had before. You are sitting at your desk. You're feeling your chest, your belly, your breathing, while you are trying to write. But some thoughts are coming up. What's the point of writing? You're making circles. It's not interesting. All those judging thoughts. We had the sentence before, it doesn't make sense to write when you don't know what to write about. Is that sentence making your body react right now?
Yeah.
And how is that now on this 0 to 10 scale?
6.
6, great. So I would like to make a small experiment with you. Imagine that you and I are going into a bookstore. So forget about your own office. We are meeting in a bookstore. They're selling books. They're selling all sort of board games and pencils and stuff. And in this particular bookstore, they're also selling signs. Signs you can put up on the wall. You can set them on a desk, or you could put in your bathroom, your kitchen, in a children's room, anywhere. All kinds of signs. Now I want you to experience your body when you now look at a sign with the words, it doesn't make sense to write when you don't know what to write about. It's a sign with those words. Where's the sign? Is it on the wall or sitting on a shelf or somewhere?
It's on a table.
Yeah. And how is your body reacting when you're seeing those words on a sign?
It's a shrinking feeling that I feel I'm making myself smaller.
Is
like
that
when
is that an pleasant or unpleasant experience?
Unpleasant.
Unpleasant experience. And how is that compared to before when you were sitting at your desk and thinking those thoughts?
It's has less power though.
Okay, great. So let's try and work out some more with your brain. go back to the bookstore. I don't know if you left it, but now you were back in the bookstore. You're looking at that sign with those words. It doesn't make sense to write when you don't know what to write about. It's all those words. Is there some words particularly that's making your body shrink?
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. What word it doesn't make sense? Which word it doesn't make sense?
Make.
Make. Interesting. So that's I say those letters in random order. K, an M, an E, and an A. Did any of those letters make your body react?
Can you do it again, please?
Sorry?
Can you do it again, please?
Yeah. There's an A, there's an E, there's a K, there's an M.
It's hard to say.
A, M, K, E.
The A.
A, yeah. Is that a small letter or a big?
No, it's a big one.
A big one. So those lines out on the sides and that bar in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at those 3 lines, are any of those lines making your body react?
This one, middle one.
Yeah. How do you feel about the Eiffel Tower? So how do you feel about the A now? How, if you're looking at that A right now, how is it in your body?
Neutral.
Okay. And you can zoom out a bit and see the whole word make. How's that now?
Okay.
Okay, and you can zoom out and see the sentence doesn't make sense to write. How's that right now?
Yeah, okay.
Great. So if you take that sentence back to your office at your computer and think those words doesn't make sense to write, how do you experience that right now?
With quite calmness, like it's just a thought.
Great. So right now, a way of explaining this is that your brain is experiencing this thought as a thought, not anything else. Great. So you're sitting at your desk with the intention to write and re-enter that situation as vividly as you can right now. Coming up with some of the material you want to write. How is that right now?
It's less, I mean, the image is me typing, so it changed to being blocked to being actually typing. And
so now you are seeing yourself typing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at some point, I guess you are going to read what you have written.
I usually don't. when I manage. I just don't reread just afterwards.
And why is that?
I give it some time, because I know that I usually like it when I read it afterwards, but well, now I'm thinking of other situations where I managed to write, and actually I was also able to read and work on it. So it's not completely true what I just said. So, okay, I can imagine that I will read it at some point.
Yeah. And how is that?
That's good.
Great.
That part is not anxious.
So then you're coming up with some more stuff to write, some material. You want to write this book. You have a lot of thinking. You have a lot of on your mind, I guess. And you really want to get this down. How is that?
It's more, it's not that I have a lot in my mind. It's more that I want to free the way so that what want to be said through me or would be. That's how I like to write when I manage. It's not that it's not a thinking going down. It's more really creative bypassing thoughts. Yeah. So and that's
so it's coming to you instead of you forcing. It's coming to you. It wants to be written. Is that?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And
feels good. It feels joyful. It feels light.
And just stay with that feeling right now, light, joyful. And then remember what you started with, that sensation you were talking about in your chest, in your belly. Just remember how that was. And while you remember that, really feel how you are feeling right now, joyful, light. And you can go back and forth. Remember how it was just a few seconds, minutes ago, and really feel how your body is experiencing this joyful feeling right now. Yeah. You can open your eyes. Thank you. Does this process make sense?
Yeah.
Taking just this small sentence out and seeing it as a thought. We're using this small trick, mind trick, to put it on a sign. But in reality, it's not about the sign. It's about the brain realizing that this is just a thought. It could be anything. And as you were just talking about, when you're writing, stuff comes up. It appears in your mind, the thing you want to write.
Yeah.
And all those judging thoughts are also appearing in your mind.
That's true.
And if you're like me, also sort of random rubbish is also coming up. I need to remember to buy milk. I need to remember to buy new shoelaces, or when is that TV series is coming up next time or something. That's my mind. Do you recollect that?
Yeah, I can. Yeah,
so
I can
all those thoughts are just appearing. Like it's like we can sort of do an internal Google search for thoughts, if I asked you to think about an insect common in France?
Yeah, a fly.
A fly? And how did you experience that? Did you pull out the fly from your brain, or did it just appear?
It just appeared.
Just appear. Yeah, exactly. So it's sort of, we can instantiate a Google search in our minds, insect in France, and then fly appears. And like Google, it's probably the most searched for in your mind. There's some reason why it's in that order right now. The funny thing is, to remember the old Google search, I feel lucky. You could just press a button and it would take you randomly to some place on the internet. Our minds are like that, right? Because if we're not searching, thoughts are still appearing. It's bubbling up from below and appearing. Tick, 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 tick. And sometimes we get tricked by those thoughts. They feel real. So we're using that small trick with the sign just to get that experience. Next time you're having that kind of a thought, perhaps you can just instantly see it as a thought. If that doesn't happen so easily, you can try and put it on a sign. What would that look like? But at some point, this will just happen automatically. Another trick is to say, for instance, what did you say? I am not reaching important topics, I think you said. You're in that sentence. So yourself is sort of experiencing being in that sentence. And that can trick the mind and pull you into it, the reality of it. But a small trick you can do as well is think, I'm having the thought. I'm not reaching important topics. And that's seeing the thought as a thought. And we're not going to have you argue more internally. You're not going to say, that's just a thought. No, it's not. We're not having that discussion. That would make things worse. It's just like this glass.
Yeah.
I don't say in my mind, this is a glass, this is a glass, this is a glass, this is a glass. I know it's a glass. And you know that all those are just thoughts. Do you have another example of or a situation perhaps you experienced when you had this anxiety or another anxiety?
I think I feel quite tired now with and also really would like to stay connected with what you said. Like I feel it in my body, and if that would be okay for you.
Absolutely.
I don't want to go into the bookstore of anxiety of my life.
You don't have to. You just have to realize. But does this way of...
It worked, yeah. It really made me experience it bodily. You know, I do know the concept of thoughts passing like
I'll let you off the hook in a few minutes. But what we're trying to accomplish here, since you're a psychologist, we are trying to use memory reconsolidation here. Memory reconsolidation is the process that the brain has learned something, but has the ability to erase the learning.
Okay.
And this happens whenever your brain experiences an error, a prediction error. this is not what's supposed to happen, the brain is saying. This thought used to make me feel like this. This is a prediction error when I asked you to remember how this made you feel. While you were feeling, this was something different.
Yeah.
At that moment, I'm trying to facilitate a memory reconsolidation. I don't know if it's happening, but I'm trying to make that process happen.
Okay.
And often people say it feels different. And often these things are generalizing to more and more and more similar experiences. So you don't have to take every kind of judging thoughts. Perhaps this will just generalize. And if you keep applying the same principle and remembering, this made me feel worse before, and feel, then your brain is going.
Yeah, I actually wanna try writing right after our session now. So it's
great.
I see what you mean. I am actually looking for experiencing and anchoring the change.
So great you volunteered to try the Be Safe protocol.
Well, thank you very much, Kim.
Thank you. I'll stop recording.